host, Rocquel. I'm super excited because we have an amazing show for you today. 1 out of 3 women have experienced some type of abuse. You ever asked the question, why did she stay? Well, I have 3 beautiful, amazing women that will give their perspective on why did she stay.
Come on.
My first guest is the beautiful Carolyn Rides. She is an advocate. She's a legislator. She's been through so many triumphs, and I'm so happy to have her here. Miss Carolyn Rides. Yes, welcome my good friend Carolyn Rides. She is a victim advocate and a legislative advocate, and so many more things.
Yes, ma'am.
So happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Yes. So let's talk about, how did you find your passion?
I found my passion because I was a victim at the age of 14 years old, and it spanned out of 10 years. I had 8 abusers, including sexual abuse and human trafficking, and I did not have a voice in the matter.
Wow. Okay, so you said a lot. And I know you do so much in the community. But let's talk about the question. You know, domestic violence, we know it's 1 to 3 women, do some type of form of abuse, domestic abuse, whether it is, physically, emotionally, or financially. So, today's topic is, why did she stay? So I want to ask you that question. Why did you stay?
One of the reasons was, the question is, and go where? Because the abuser knows where your mom lives, your friend lives, all your relatives live. And go where? The shelters are full, the churches would not help you. And go where? So you don't have anywhere else to go. And as well as fear. And when I say fear, I would tell anybody, the worst thing a victim can do is tell the abuser they're leaving. Because that's when you are most, you're in more danger. When you say, I'm leaving, I'm divorcing you, that's when you're in more danger.
Yes, so, first of all, you definitely is a fighter. You're a fighter, and I commend you for all of the things that you're doing. But for the viewers, when you think about you don't have nowhere to go, and everybody could kind of relate to that, because they're either there because, like what you say, they don't have nowhere to go, nobody is like believing them, family members. How do you get to it where you say, you know what, I have to leave?
When my daughter just cried, I remember my daughter being on the floor crying, and she was in a corner. And I remember at that point, it was time to go. It was time to just really change things. He was already gone. We was already getting ourselves back together. But at that point, I had to make a change for my children, and for me.
Wow. It makes me, really think about just how hard that had to be. You trying to be strong for your kids. You really don't have nowhere to go. And you get to that point, like, they're crying, I got to do better than this. Like, what was the melting point? Like, what made you, I know you saw your daughter crying, but, like, what made it different this time?
I felt I deserved better.
Yes.
I had to decide I deserved better. That and I tell anybody, God had made a woman very strong. So a man has to really, really bring you down to a really low level to be able to physically and emotionally abuse you. Okay. And I had to get my strength back. Yes. That I deserved better.
Right.
And that I was not accepted anymore. And I meant that. And I was determined that if it meant me being by myself for the rest of my life, I was okay with that. Okay. But I refused to be anybody else's punching bag. Yes. Period.
That's why I know you. That's why I call you. You my fighter friend. Like, she will fight for everything. This is the thing, right? You've been doing so many things, working on this new law. I want you to talk to us about the law because it's important. It's coming up, election time, November?
November the 6th.
Yes.
Yes.
So let's talk about that and what all of the things, because I want everybody to know what you've been doing. Yes.
Marcy's Law for Georgia. We've been fighting this fight for quite a while. In the 2018 session, we passed the Senate and the House
That's amazing.
unanimously with 0 nays, and we're on the ballot November the 6th. Marcy's
6th.
Law will be Amendment 4. And what that does is, first of all, the reason why it's important is because the accused has more rights legally in the state of Georgia than a victim. So a rapist has more rights
I
than a
need
person
you to
they
say
rape.
that again.
Yes, the accused has more rights than a person they victimized. A rapist has more rights than the person they raped. And so Marcy's Law would give the victim equal constitutional rights in a court proceeding, meaning
That's amazing.
it means that they will be notified. They will have the right to be heard. In my situation, I wasn't notified that he was out. And Marcy's Law is very important in Georgia because for the Bridget Flowers story, he came out of jail and killed her in front of her children
Yes.
because he was out and no one ever told her.
No one told him. And that's why everybody needs to vote November 6th.
Amendment 4.
Amendment 4.
Yes.
Wow. This is amazing. So I just want to kind of get to this because you have such a supportive husband right now, and y'all have a outreach. I think it's SAVE. That's the acronym. So I want you to break it down. SAVE.
Saved is survivors and supporters against violence, empowered and determined.
Wow. Amazing. Yes. So what has been some of the challenges with starting this organization?
Financial challenges. We've been turned away. Churches don't want to deal with us. Communities don't want to deal with us.
I just think this
Yeah.
we got to change that because
Yeah.
when you're trying to do something right, we need people to support it.
Exactly. And people don't want to donate, but people, I promise you, that people will donate. If you tell them Beyonce tickets, if you can give me $5 and I give you a Beyonce ticket, I promise you they're going to donate. But to
Exactly.
save a life, we won't donate.
We got to change that. So I want the viewers to be able to follow your organization. So I want you to make sure you give us the website, how they could donate, because it only take $1, $2.
Yes.
You could do
Yes.
hygiene stuff. Just
Yes.
donate because we need to
Yes.
do this.
Yes. Well, we're still working on our website. I'm rebuilding our website. But you can reach us at fellowshipcommunityoutreach@gmail.com and 770-421-5044. And we are on Facebook, Fellowship Community Outreach, Surviving the Storm.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Yes. Oh my gosh. Shall I say Hollywood?
Absolutely.
Okay. So would you share your story with us?
Oh, yes. Her story. Amen? Her story. Yeah. So, by the age of 17, I had already been raped, violated by a relative, and my mother was a cocaine addict, and my father was an alcoholic. So by that young, tender age, I had so many things going on. By the time I was 22, 23 years old, I had been brutally beaten by somebody I thought was my Casanova, that was going to rescue me from my childhood, my adolescenthood. And that's what I thought. And I married that individual, and if I didn't make homemade mashed potatoes, if I was using the boxed potatoes, he was kicking my butt, punching me in my face, making sure that I was at home at a certain time, that I was wearing certain clothes, eating certain food. And so it was just, it was gut-wrenching at that tender age of 22 because I didn't know any better. I wanted that perfect family. I wanted a 2-parent home. I wanted something solid.
Yes.
And so I accepted that abuse during that time. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Wow.
Ugh.
Amazing.
I got to say wow to that.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Amazing story. Oh, my God. So, you know, because I know a little bit more about that story.
Yes,
So
yes,
I
yes.
just, oh, God. I just got to take a moment. But
Yes.
how did you, like, get the courage to say enough is enough?
Wow. You know what? That's a pretty deep question. And you know, that courage comes from God.
Yes.
That courage comes from God. And you know, when
talk
you
about that.
are, let's talk about God.
Let's talk about that.
When you study, when you pray, and when you believe,
Come on now.
that's where that strength comes from.
Yes.
You know, and
I need, come on.
yes.
Yes. Give it up for God.
Oh my God, give it up for God. And you know, at that young age of mine, you know, I had an 11-month-old daughter, and I didn't have to go to court. I didn't have to go to court because my abuser committed suicide. So he took another way out.
That's why we saying wow.
Yes, he took another way out. He took another way out. And being left with an 11-month-old, and for, you know, 20 years now, for 20 years, a little over 20 years actually, I have kept my story to myself. And again, it's not my story to keep, because it all gives glory to God when you give that story, because you got through it. You got through it.
And also, it's healing.
It's healing.
It's healing.
Absolutely.
And your voice, you know, because you're such a leader. You know, you're a leader in your community. You're doing so many things. And, you know, I don't want to share your story. And, you know, she have amazing, you know. Okay. Okay.
You know, it's emotional.
Yeah.
It's emotional. And you know what's so emotional about this is two strong women, because we know where our strength comes
Yes.
from. We know where our strength comes from. And, you know, it's sometimes it's a struggle for us to talk about it, right?
Yes, it is. So,
And that's okay.
so, yeah, you know, I thank God. I really thank God for you. Like, oh my God, because we doing this topic because it's so dear to me. You know, because a lot of people don't, you know my story.
Oh, wow.
But we that's why it's kind of emotional right now. But I want to just stay on the course. You work with a lot of young women.
Yes.
You know, and being that you made a decision just recently to share your story, and they come to you, you're an evangelist, you're a leader. You know, they come to you and with that same situation, and you kind of, you know, hit it. Like, how did you deal with that? Can you, like,
Yeah.
walk us
Absolutely.
with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, between the years of 2001 to 2012, with the Afghanistan and the Iraq war, there were 6,488 casualties. During that same time frame, there were 11,788 murders that were committed by those domestic violence assailants. So this thing is an epidemic. And it's not something that's going to go away quickly and quietly. And so that's when I realized, you know what, God has had you on this earth for an assignment. And your assignment is to show ages 2 through 10, where that's where a lot of things happen that we don't get told at that age. And through the millennials up to my seasoned age, that you've got to let them understand that you are the face of rape, domestic violence. You are the face of emotional abuse. You know, you are that. And you've got to stand and say, listen, I got to tell people this story because it's got to stop. Silence kills. Silence kills. And everybody's not going to be in a position to where their assailant is going to commit suicide. It doesn't mean I advocate for that. What I'm saying is everybody's not going to have that choice. They might be the individual where their life is taken. It's an epidemic. And so, I have a program. I know Rocquel and I have talked about this quite a bit for the butterfly program, to where that age group, when they come, you want to be able to listen. To listen and say, how can I help you? And you said it earlier, 1 in 3. That's 1, 2, 3.
That's 85% of women. Easy.
And we got a...
Yes. I know you get a lot of love from your church home, right? Tell me some ways have they supported you?
Wow. And
Tell me some ways how they supported you.
how they've supported me, yeah. And that I know I've heard many women say that their church homes don't support them. They don't support them. And what my church home has allowed me to do is to really cater to that age 2 through 10. And they look me in the eyes and I say, tell me you're beautiful. Yeah. Tell me you're smart. Tell me that you are strong. And you can be anything and do anything you want to do. And so my church has allowed me to have that butterfly program with the young ladies, so we can get them strong in the beginning and they can get through anything.
Tell us how we can support the butterfly.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can visit our website. Is impoweryourpower.com. So that's impoweryourpower.com. And on there, we talk about the Empowered Butterfly Program. Again, many things happen between the ages of 2 and 10. And that is the age where our children, our girls, and our young men, our boys, are sculpted. Things that happen at that time determine what type of adult they're going to be.
Yes.
And so you can support our program by inviting me out to your church, to your private schools, your public schools, your Christian schools. Hey, I am not a psychologist. I ain't afraid. I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, but I tell you, you know what? You can have so many degrees and be an educated fool. But when you go through some things, you can tell people about it, and you can help support those young individuals. And so that butterfly program is really about, we're talking about the caterpillar, we're talking about the cocoon, we're talking about the butterfly. And so you can support that program by inviting me out. We give poetry, we listen, and we listen and we talk. So please visit our website, impoweryourpower.com, and invite us out to be able to get these young little girls and little boys to blossom and be strong so they can get through just about anything.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I love you. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Our next guest is the beautiful Natalie Purdy. I like to call her Pretty, Natalie Purdy. She has an amazing story. She's a domestic advocate, survivor, and speaker. Let's welcome Natalie Purdy.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thanks for being here. Oh, my God. So, your story is just overcoming. You have shared it on like pretty much every network. I'm just so honored that you're here.
I'm honored to be here.
Wow. So it's just unbelievable. Can you tell us that amazing story?
Absolutely. So I am a survivor of domestic violence. I am a speaker, and I travel around the world to talk to people about. The main thing that I focus on is teen dating violence, because I was a teenager when I was attacked. I was attacked by my boyfriend, and because I told him I didn't want to marry him. And when we had that discussion, I really thought that everything was fine. I thought that he was going to leave. But when I went to go and walk him out the door, right before he came, I was cutting out my pictures from my senior class. I had just graduated from high school. He had taken the scissors He stabbed me over 30 times. Yes. Yes.
So let me just kind of stop you because it's important.
Absolutely.
Something I want them to know. You were 17, but tell them how old your boyfriend was.
He was 25. Yes. Yes. And so when he did attack me, it was not just the stab wounds. He fractured my skull. I had a blood tumor on my brain. I had post traumatic seizures. I had to learn how to read, write, and walk again. It temporarily paralyzed my whole left side, and it also temporarily paralyzed my eye muscles. Yes, and so I wore a patch for a year and a half.
See, this is unbelievable. 17,
Yes.
just graduated from high school,
Yes,
and had to do all of this.
Yes.
Go through all of this.
yes,
You truly a survivor.
yes. Amen.
Oh, God.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, can you just share, how did you meet your boyfriend?
I used to be a professional dancer. I studied ballet, I studied tap, jazz, African, and I was actually performing at a festival. And he saw me performing, and that's how we initially met.
Okay.
And he used to give me a ride to my dance practice.
Okay.
He used to come and watch me perform. And I thought, wow, this guy is really, I didn't see that as a sign because I didn't have the experience.
Yes.
And so I thought it was a sign of him just really being interested in me and what I was doing and in me pursuing my dreams.
Right. Wow. Amazing.
Yes.
So, when did you realize that relationship changed?
I didn't really realize how much it was changing because I didn't recognize all of the signs.
Okay.
I did know that he was moving too fast, and that is a key sign. I did realize that it was a type of control with him just wanting to give me a ride everywhere I wanted to
Right.
go. But really, when you're young, you think that that's a sign of he's really interested in me.
Yes.
He's really looking out for me. He's really mature. And I thought that was
You
like
excited.
I was
got somebody
excited,
that's
yes. An older
picking me,
guy,
bringing
he's
me
more
to-
mature. Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
wow.
Definitely.
So, when did he really become violent with you? Talk about that. When did you first?
He was never violent.
Okay.
So my story is a little
Okay.
different from most stories. One thing that I did recognize is that we never had an argument. That's a sign, ladies. We never had a disagreement. I thought, this guy is so mature.
Oh, wow.
And no, that's a sign. That's not good. Because what it was that he was harvesting it all inside. It was building up. It was festering. And so that one day when I said it's over, it's time to break up, that's when he snapped.
Wow. Okay.
I know, right? It's a lot.
So, you you go around the country and you tell your story, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so how I started to tell my story was he got away with it.
Okay.
He got away with it. At that time, the laws were different. And so they didn't view teen dating violence. They didn't view domestic violence the same as they do now. Thank God for so many changes.
thank God.
But they viewed it as I already knew him. And so he got a lesser sentence. But I then went on later on to testify against him.
And briefly, I want you to tell us about that, just briefly.
Yes, briefly. So I was a surprise witness. And that was the very beginning of me actually speaking out, really realizing that this is my purpose. And this is why I went through all that I went through, so that now I can help other young women to recognize the signs, to realize what teen dating violence is, and to raise awareness and work on changing more laws in order for people to get stiffer sentences.
Yes. Yes. So, thank you so much for sharing your story. But I want people to be able to continue to, follow, because you're doing so many things by going, talking to the young teens and reaching them in the schools, because that's where your passion is. And I
Yes.
want people to really understand that. So, how can they support you and follow your journey?
Absolutely. So I teach teen dating violence at Promise Place in Fayette County. And so I go to all of the area middle schools and high schools. You can also follow me on Facebook or Instagram under Natalie Purdy or Survivor's Voice. And I work a lot of behind the scenes with victims and their friends and family. So you can reach me even at on my instant message, and I'll
Right.
get back with you.
And she would definitely do that.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome back. This is segment Rock in the Community. My next guest, she is such an amazing leader, advocate for youth, doing amazing things. She goes by the name of Lady M. And for others, Marcella Phillips. Can you welcome her to the show? So this is one of my favorite segments, guys. Okay. When people are doing things in the community, not talking about doing things, but actually doing things, it just put a smile in my heart. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having me on your
Of
show.
course. So where did your passion come from to help high-risk youths?
Well, it started from my childhood, actually. Our house was pretty much the safe haven house where everybody came and they ran from whatever situations they were going through at home. Domestic violence was one of those, abusive, children. And my mom would just hide everybody. So everybody would come to our house and like it was a safe haven. And that just,
So it was just natural for
just
you.
natural, just grew into it.
Yes. But you mentioned something, and you talked about domestic violence, and we here in Atlanta, and I know, but I want everyone else to know, like, what led you here? What made
led
you
me
come
here?
to Atlanta?
What led me here was going through domestic violence. I was running away from my abuser. It actually started from 3 years after I had my son, and which he begged me to have another child, and I didn't really want to bring another child into our situation because it was getting really ugly. But, I did, and then it just got worse. So after just seeing him crying from the arguing and, just putting my kids in that environment was just, very uncomfortable. And I decided to leave and get out of it. And the best way, he started stalking me, so I just left. I left the state, North Carolina.
Wow. So you are very connected to the community, and can you just share some of the things that you are doing in the community?
Okay. One thing, I have a youth organization called, the acronym for it is ITEE, and that's International Talent Elite Enterprise. And we're not 501c nonprofit organization who we just help our youth build their confidence to pursue their destiny, their passion, whatever it is that thing that they want to do. We provide a platform for them to do in the entertainment industry. Whether that's music, acting, whatever it is that they want to pursue. We just host a neat event and, we just allow them to do their thing. So
That's amazing. So what are some of the things that you're working on right now?
Well, Christmas is coming up, so we do an annual Christmas toy give back. So we adopt families who are in need, and we give back to those families. It's so personable. So we selectively, you know, get families who are struggling, and we provide toys or whatever assistance
And
to
y'all
them.
provide like they provide the great toys, guys. The
Yeah.
bikes,
We
the
get good stuff.
trains.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and thank God for my supporters and my friends who come out every year to help me load. Toys for Tots is one of our big sponsors, and they give us like 500 toys each year, and we have to distribute all those toys out through Atlanta. So I get to play Santa.
That's amazing. Yes. Woo. Also, not just that you just do so many things in the community, like you always receiving some type of award. I'm like, so I would, tell me about that.
Silent awards. I mean, I don't do things just to get awards. I just love giving back. I love serving. I love helping. I love getting out into the community and just doing things, whatever anybody needs me to do. I'm pretty much there. So I'm all around the city, everywhere. They call me Lady on the Move. I guess that's what the Lady M stands for. Lady on a mission.
Yes, I like that. Lady Lady on a mission, on the move. So we are gonna get back to like what brought you to Atlanta, but I just because this is our segment, people who rocking in the community and you doing such a great, awesome job. I just had to highlight all those amazing things that you're doing. But I have to ask the question, I know you got tired, but did you ever just like people ask you like why you was just staying in that situation? Why did you stay?
I guess I stayed in. Well, later on, I learned why I was in that situation. It's to find my purpose. So had I not gone through that, I wouldn't be right here. I wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing. I get very emotional. Sorry.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Let me give you a hug. Right. So you have such an incredible career already. So just what's next for Lady M?
What's next is, well, my overall thing that I want to start is a performing arts center for our youth. So I wanna do that.
That's amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I know that's not just it.
Well, I'm writing a book, so it's taking a long time, but I'm getting there. Like I say, it's very emotional. I have to go all the way back to that, visit that moment. So it's been hard, but I'm taking one chapter at a time. So
Wow. Well, I definitely I'm so proud of you. I commend you
you.
because I know the story is one of those stories that's very emotional. But just continue on rocking in the community. Continue to do great things. I just want you to make sure that you let everybody know how to follow you to support because Christmas is coming, and we need to make
Yes.
sure we take care of them kids. And you didn't share this, but I'm gonna share it for you. She don't just, they at risk kids, but they sickly kids too, and that's a passion to even do that. So just
Yeah.
kind of mention a little.
We'll get to that. Yes, so that inspired me actually to start the nonprofit is working with cancer kids at Children's Healthcare, and just seeing those parents go through situations where they need support, money, gas, food, and they have other family, kids at home and stuff like that. So I wanted to give back to those kids and just
Amazing.
yeah.
Let's give it up for Miss Marcella Phillips.
Awesome.
Welcome back. It's Q&A. Are there any questions from the audience?
You ladies had some amazing stories. I first would like to ask, which is the worst type of abuse someone can go through? Would it be emotional, physical, or financial?
I would say there's none worse than the other. They're all worse. Abusive, mental, physical, financial, spiritual, it's all bad. So to me, there's no one better or worse.
I would say it depends on to the situation. Some people have live with a physical disability that you can actually see, or they are actually living with per day from the physical abuse. Then you have some who have really mental damage that follows them for the rest of their life. So, like she said, it's nothing. Neither one of them is worse than the other one, unless you look at the person, the situation. Put it like that. It's based on situation.
I agree with these beautiful ladies because there are about 18.8 million cases, mental cases out there per year that come from domestic violence. And so we think that just because they're not being beat up on the outside and you don't see that visual, that there's not something going on in the inside. And there's so many people that are affected mentally from domestic violence. So I say all of them are equally damaging, equally bad.
Yes. And I just want to say what I think. I think, not to disagree with any of y'all beautiful ladies, I just believe that any form of abuse, it should never be tolerated. It just should be self-love. Yes. Do we have any more questions?
I got a question. Were any of you ladies ever unaware that the chaos in your relationship was actually domestic violence?
As you heard from my story before, definitely I had no idea that what I was experiencing was domestic violence because it was so subtle. And it was definitely a hidden sign. But now that I can look back, it definitely was a volatile situation that just escalated.
I definitely couldn't identify what it was. All I know that I was married. It was my husband. It didn't happen prior to. It just kind of happened towards the end of our marriage. So it was more of a shock situation to me. Now that I'm hearing all the stories and the advocates, I didn't know about any of that then. I didn't hear about people talking about domestic violence, so I didn't know how to identify it. All I know that I wanted to live, and when it got to that point where, live or die, I chose to live, and I got out. I chose to live.
Well, my situation was a little kind of different because I was taught from the church that when someone hurts you, they love you. Pray for them. And that's the reality that's a message that a lot of time in church we teach. That, okay, they talk to you mean, but they love you. Oh, they embarrass you, but they love you. So when it happened in my life, I equated it to love. So I didn't know I was being abused mentally.
Wow. Yeah, that's the self-love, right, Rock? That is for sure. For me, later in life, when I experienced emotional abuse, I didn't realize that it was emotional abuse at that time. And again, you go from physical abuse and financial and then emotional. You don't realize that you're being manipulated. It's all a part of having control. They practice gaslighting when they make you think that your memory's gone and you don't know what you're talking about. And then they bully you. And then they make you feel like they have no respect for any type of situation, for your needs, for your communication. All of that is emotional abuse. I'm going to split a verb here. It ain't normal. It ain't normal. It's not okay. And so, as the more we talk about it, the more we're aware about it, because a lot of times when we're in the mode and the motions of things, we don't realize that we are being emotionally, financially, or physically abused.
Thank you, ladies. So do we have another question? Okay.
Hi, Rock. My name is Danielle from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, Danielle.
And I want to say hello to you courageous, beautiful women. And so my question is addressed to all of you. How many times did you go back?
Well, I went back one time, and when went back, it was more so for my children. They were comfortable in their room, in their space. I loved my home. I was afraid to financially get out there on my own. I didn't know how to be on my own. I'd never been on my own, so I've always depended on his credit, his money. And it was just a lot of things. Fear that he would come after me. So it was just a lot. But, just praying through God and just having the faith, just building that up. And it was God. God made the big play in my decision to leave. Like, I literally talked 2 hours to God. 2 hours where I'm watching him walking up and down the street and he couldn't find me. And I was sitting in the backyard just talking, having a conversation with God. God, if you get me out of this situation, if you help me through this or that, then, and he did. He delivered. So I'm grateful.
Anybody else want to answer?
I went back twice to three times to three different abusers for different reasons. And fear was one, and the question of go where. They knew everywhere I was going to go, so I had no safety.
As I said earlier, I didn't have to go back the first time because my abuser did commit suicide. But I did stay in that relationship for a little bit over a year. The second time around with emotional abuse, I stayed for less than a year. In fact, I was recently annulled because I was able to recognize those signs pretty quickly that, you know what, I'm getting a little bit too old for this. I've been on this rodeo before, so it's time to recognize those red flags, ladies. When it's red, okay? Yeah.
I did not go back, but he did call me while I was in the hospital and asked me, are we still going to get married? Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. Yes. Um, so before we go to we're going to take one more question from the audience. I just have to share this. Like, it's so many different reasons why you would go back, and I can relate to you don't want to leave your home. You don't want anyone to think anything. You want to make sure that you have two parents. You don't want your children not have none. But I'm going to kind of give y'all another spin, right? I'm a military officer talking to soldiers every day about how they are being abused and hiding my own abuse. So because of being an officer and a commander in charge, how can I leave my husband? I'm trying to be a voice of someone else. And it goes back to what I said earlier. I had to make a decision and say, I love me. I love Rocquel. So you have to understand that when you love you love yourself the best. You're not going to tolerate anything less. You want the best. So no matter what the situation is, no matter financially, no matter what people may say, no matter what people may think, you have to choose you. You have to love you. And with God, with God, all things are possible. He would give you the strength. He would give you the power to overcome everything. And then you can share your story. And that's what happened. Like, you begin the healing process. You don't have to be ashamed. You don't have to feel bad. You can say, you know what? I was once in your shoes. Mm-hmm. But guess what? I walked away. So thank y'all. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Just edit it. One more question.
My name is Joseph. I really didn't have much of a question. I just wanted to applaud you ladies because I know you guys have been through a lot. And just hearing the stories is not something I would hear every day. Obviously, they don't publicize this on the news or anything like that. So, like, I really just wanted to say congratulations. I'm glad you guys are out of the situation you're out of. And I'm amazed, yeah.
Amazing. Yes. So I want to thank each and one of my guests for just sharing your stories. Thank y'all. Yes. And remember, it's about self-love. So show love and continue to do everything great. This is amazing, guys, because this is my favorite part of the show, the Spotlight Artist, which is my artist, featuring Kara's Love Child. Give it up. Yes. Yes. Again, give it up for Kara's Love Child.
Thank you. This is Focus by her.
Baby, can you focus on me? Can you focus on me? Baby, can you focus on me? Hands in the soap and the faucet's dripping in. I keep looking at you, but you're stuck on your zone while I'm stuck on your phone. But you don't have a clue. See, I don't wanna give up, but lately I've been want you to get up. 'Cause lately I've been a little fed up, and I wish you would just focus on me. Can you focus on me? Baby, can you focus on me? On me. Can you focus on me? Baby, can you focus on me? Lazy and broke, but to get this money, so I guess I can't complain. But I feel alone even when we're alone, and love don't cost a thing. See, I don't wanna give up. See, baby, I just want you to get up. 'Cause lately I've been a little fed up, and I wish you would just focus on me. Can you focus on me? Baby, can you focus on me? On me. Can you focus on me? Oh, baby, can you focus on me? Can you focus? Oh, baby, can you focus on me? On me. I just wanna love you, babe. So, baby, can you focus on me?
This has been so amazing. I want to thank everybody from tuning in to Rocquel Khalees show. This has been your host, Rocquel Khalees.
Welcome to Rockwell College.